Hey, I'm Rich Ortiz, and today we're going fishing early spring on Lake George. See if we can catch some bass.
You are good to go.
Oh, this is the release. This is the release. This is the,
Nice.
And it's also like I refocus and just get my, just get back in tune with me, and I'm crazy about it too. I get really zoned into it. Right now I'm just fishing a slow presentation, like a little jig, around the docks. They're starting to come into the docks. The water's still really cold, but they do tend to, like this time of year, cool up because they're getting ready to think about spawning. They're not quite there yet, but
Doing some mating.
start thinking about mating. Yeah. Oh, there's a big, huge bass right underneath my jig, and I'm gonna freaking spook it. Maybe they would hit something. Super cold weather, largie.
Yeah.
That's a little guy, but maybe a pound. Freezing cold.
Nice.
Hungry though, hungry. Who is it? Hey, what's up, Steve? I was wondering who the sexy guy on the boat was over there. You know how people say, like, oh, fishing, early in the morning is the best time to go? Well, in the spring, it's when the water warms up. There's one. Choke that thing. Literally choke it. So, largemouth bass in early spring, super cold weather. So that's what they call a jerk bait. It's a suspending jerk bait. It's got a little rattle in it. That would have been great footage. Hey.
Oh, buddy.
My most monumental gig was like a two-part. It was two shows. It was a little run I did with Chicago. The first part was monumental is because I got to open up for Chicago at SPAC. So to be on my home stage like that at SPAC and be like, and to feel that energy of people who knew me and playing for, I don't know how many thousands of, like 5,000-10,000 people there was, people that were coming in, and so that to be able to play in that environment was like a dream come true, because now I'm on I used to watch everybody on stage there and just be like, I wish I could do that. So to be able to perform on that stage was awesome. And then the part two was I went and opened up for Chicago at Boston at the Bank Hill Pavilion, which to me was even better because now I was outside of my hometown on a big stage, and I got a standing ovation after my opening act set, and then there was a line about 100 yards of people that wanted to meet me and grab a CD at the time, and I was selling CDs, and that was really like kind of like a testimony, like, yeah, it's not just your hometown hero guy, like you definitely have something that people like. I tell myself that it could have been the fact that my last name was Ortiz, and they might have thought I was like David Ortiz's little brother or something. I don't know.
What was your Ted Nugent moment?
So, alright, so when I opened up I won that contest in Glens Falls and opened up for REO Speedwagon and Styx and Ted Nugent. So I thought, like, it was like the Midwest Rockin' Tour or something like that. And I thought, what a weird lineup, but this is going to be interesting. So I opened up, and the only thing I was mostly excited about doing that show, and I'm not even kidding you, was I wanted to meet Ted Nugent because, I mean, he's super passionate bow hunter, and he's definitely crazy, but like, I appreciate his passion for bow hunting and his dedication to that sport, and so I really wanted to meet him. So I literally brought my bow in like secret hopes that I could get him to sign it. Anyway, they told me, like, yeah, you're probably not going to meet Ted Nugent. You know what I mean? So that's like, oh, that's a bummer. So they're like, okay, so they put me in like this room, and they're like, you just stay in here, and So as soon as I got in that room, I was like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. So I just literally wanted to go find Ted Nugent. So I just left, left the room like totally I wasn't supposed to, and just walked by, and Ted Nugent was right there in his green room, just door open. He's just got his leopard print iPhone, and he's like flipping through his camera. And I brought this like montage of pictures of like, you know, hunts and big fish that I've caught in New York, and like put together this little montage photo album to show Ted, like, hey, I'm cool too. I like to do this stuff too. And I was all excited, and he was like, come in, and he just went, like, I see him on TV and I laugh. He's like, you got the spirit of the wild in you, and he's like, you're a blood brother, you're gonna crush it on stage. And he's like, so now I'm like, oh my god, I'm like sitting in front of Ted Nugent. He's showing me pictures of like these giant animals he shot like yesterday on some safari, and literally I went out and played, and he's like, well, when you're done playing, come back and we'll hang out. So I come back, and I literally hung out with him for like 30 minutes in his room. He told me to grab my bow. He signed my bow. We had like organic farm-raised chicken soup that he required at his gig, and I met his daughter and grandson, and it was pretty surreal. He wrote a song. I forget the name. The White Buffalo or the Mighty Buffalo.
Yeah,
the Great White Buffalo.
Something
I can't remember. But he recited every single lyric to that song to me. That was my Nuge moment. It was definitely a pretty interesting moment in my career. One of my biggest musical influences as a teenager was James Taylor and Jim Croce and Cat Stevens and stuff like that, which was like before my time. Nowadays, I'm super big into Derek Trucks and the Tedeschi Band. I just think they are an awesome live band. I think they're one of the best live bands out there right now. I was actually fortunate enough to have Kofi Burbridge, who recently just passed away, which is actually horrible. I was fortunate enough to have him record on my album in 2010. He recorded on 2 tracks. He recorded the flute on Face of a Lion and flute and organs on The Vibe. So I don't know if it was my first Fish show, I want to say, but I do know that I did go to the Glens Falls Civic Center to see them do the White Album on Halloween. I definitely remember that that place had a lot of fog in it, and the Civic Center, it was just cool to see the band play the whole White Album, and of course Fishman ran around naked. And this time of year, you know, I work 4 or 5 nights a week most of the time, so I have a couple nights with my family, and then the weekends during the day. And my wife is really supportive, and she allows me, you know, time to be able to do things like fishing, because she knows I'm passionate about it, and she knows that I'm kind of just following my dream, and she's super supportive. My father passed away when I was 2, and he was a musician as well. I've come from like a 5 generations of musicians, so there's no shortage of musical background on my father's side. My grandfather on my mother's side, who I called Pop, he took me, I lived in Bergen County, New Jersey as a kid, and he took me, he's like, we're gonna go on a fishing trip, and I was probably 3 years old, which I think back now, and I think like, how cool is it that he wanted to take his 3-year-old grandson on a fishing trip with his fishing buddies out, you know. So we went to the Delaware River, and I was instantly just, you know, the connection that I had with my grandfather was very deep, very, very strong. I looked up to him very much, respected him very much, and I fell in love, absolutely fell in love with fishing. Mahali was a great guy, super nice, really kind, great guitar player, great singer. I was really happy. He was one of those guys that, you know, he really appreciated my music too. And that's the best thing about it. It's like you meet real people who are down to earth, kind musicians that just are humble and just know they're there and blessed to do what they love, you know what I mean? And just shedding on the guitar and singing, and the music's just as much therapy and rewarding for a musician as it is for the listener, you know? I mean, I don't know where I'd be without music, you know. Music and fishing both literally, you know, saved me. like legit saved my life and gave me purpose and got me through a lot of hard times.